3 months passed. The Phoenix was still docked at the Confederation station, but it no longer looked like the same ship. Every day the human crew worked from early morning until late at night. They took apart systems, rebuilt them, and tested new ideas. They worked harder than any crew on the station. Other aliens watched them with curiosity. At first, many had laughed at the humans and their junk ship, but as weeks went by, the laughter changed to confused looks and whispered questions. "What are they doing to that ship?" aliens would ask each other as they passed by Docking Bay 12. Inside the Phoenix, Sumin wiped sweat from her forehead as she connected two wires that no alien would ever think to connect. She was in a small tunnel that ran between the engine room and the weapons system. The space was tight, hot, and uncomfortable. But Sumin didn't mind. She was building something new. "Hand me the fusion coupler," she called out to her assistant, a young engineer named Taeyang who had joined the crew a month ago. He passed her the tool. The Alari engineer who was watching yesterday said this modification will never work. He said we're going to blow ourselves up. Sumin laughed. The Alari think in straight lines. They build perfect, safe systems. But sometimes the best path isn't the safe one. She connected the final wire and a soft hum filled the tunnel. Lights that had been dark for years suddenly glowed blue. "It works," Taeyang said in surprise. "Of course it works," Sumin replied with a smile. "Humans have been making things work with odd parts since we first picked up tools." On the bridge, Captain Daeho Kim looked over the ship's new systems. Ji-Hoo sat at the navigation station testing the controls. The cracked screen was gone, replaced by a new system that combined Confederation technology with human design. "How's the navigation coming?" Daeho asked. Ji-Hoo looked up with excited eyes. "Better than expected, Captain. The aliens only use set paths through space, what they call hyperlanes. But I've been programming our Earth navigation methods. We can cut through areas they consider too dangerous." "Are they actually dangerous?" Daeho asked. Ji-Hoo shook his head. "Not with the right calculations. Humans have always found ways through rough waters. Space is no different." Minji called from her communication station. "Captain, I've finished the new comm system. I've added Earth military encryption to the Confederation technology. No one in the galaxy will be able to decode our messages." Daeho nodded with approval. Every part of the ship was becoming something new, something unexpected. Hanjun entered the bridge with a data pad. "Security systems are online, Captain. I've added some surprises for anyone who tries to board us without permission." "Good," Daeho said. "Any word from Sumin about the engine weapons connection?" As if answering his question, Sumin's voice came through the ship's comm. "Captain, the power bypass is working. We can channel energy directly from the Alari converters to the Vardek weapons, 3 times the firepower with half the energy signature." Daeho couldn't help but smile. "Excellent work." The door to the bridge opened, and Dr. Yunji walked in. Unlike the others who were covered in dirt and grease from their work, she looked clean and professional. "Medical bay is fully functional," she reported. "I've done something interesting with it too. The aliens build medical systems for specific species. I've made ours adaptable to treat any species. It's something the Confederation doesn't have." "That could be useful," Daeho said. "Good thinking." He looked around at his crew. They were tired but proud. In 3 months, they had turned a piece of junk into something special. "Tomorrow we take her out for a test flight," he announced. "Get some rest tonight. You've earned it." The next morning, a small crowd of aliens gathered to watch the Phoenix leave the station. Many expected it would barely make it out of the dock. Some even placed bets on how far it would go before breaking down. Inside the ship, the human crew prepared for launch. "All systems ready, Captain," Ji-Hoo reported from navigation. "Engine output at 95% and stable," Sumin added from engineering. Daeho sat in the captain's chair, which now had new padding and controls built into the armrests. "Release docking clamps, thrusters at 1/4 power." The Phoenix hummed to life. The sound was different from other ships, a mix of technologies that shouldn't work together but somehow did. The ship backed smoothly out of the docking bay. Once clear of the station, Daeho nodded to Ji-hoo. "Take us out, navigator. Let's see what she can do." Ji-hoo's fingers danced over the controls. The Phoenix moved forward, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. The stars outside the viewports began to stretch as the ship accelerated, engine performance exceeding expectations, Sumin reported from engineering. Her voice was filled with pride. "The Alari converter is working perfectly with the Vardek drive." For the next 6 hours, they tested the ship's systems. The Phoenix was faster than a ship its size should be. It turned quickly, its weapons charged rapidly, and its shields were stronger than expected. "Time to head back," Daeho finally said. "Let's not show them everything we can do just yet." When they returned to the station, Ambassador Talon was waiting in the docking bay with several other officials. His silver face showed surprise as the Phoenix docked smoothly. "Captain Kim," he said, as Daeho stepped off the ship. "Your test flight was unexpected. Our sensors show your ship performing well above its class specifications." Daeho nodded politely. "The Phoenix is full of surprises, Ambassador." High Engineer Zeal stepped forward, her forearms twitching with curiosity. "I would like to inspect these modifications. Some of the energy signatures we detected should not be possible with that hull configuration." "I'm afraid that won't be possible," Daeho replied calmly. "Confederation regulations allow each species to maintain their own technological secrets. We're simply following protocol." The Ailari engineer looked frustrated, but couldn't argue with her own rules. General Kraz, who had been standing quietly, finally spoke. "The ship flies, that's something. But flying isn't fighting. You haven't proven anything yet, human." "We're not here to prove anything, General," Daeho said. "We're here to serve the Confederation just like any other crew." The general made a sound like a laugh. "We'll see how you serve when you're assigned to your patrol sector." After the officials left, Hanjun moved next to Daeho. "They're going to give us the worst assignment, aren't they?" "Count on it," Daeho replied. "But that's fine. The further we are from their watching eyes, the more we can finish our work." The next day, their orders came through. The Phoenix was assigned to patrol Sector 87, the most distant, empty, and unimportant area in Confederation space. It was a sector that bordered the edge of Confederation territory, where nothing ever happened. Daeho gathered his crew on the bridge to share the news. "They've given us the emptiest patrol route possible," he told them. "We'll be far from any major worlds or trade routes." Instead of disappointment, the crew looked pleased. "That's perfect," Sumin said. "We can complete our final modifications without anyone watching." "And that sector borders contested space," Ji-hoo added, looking at his star charts. "If anything does happen, we'll be the first responders." Minji had been reviewing the mission details. "We're supposed to leave tomorrow and be gone for 6 months. Daeho nodded. "Then we have 1 day to load final supplies and prepare. Soon, we'll show the galaxy what humans can really do." As the crew went back to work, Daeho looked at the ship that had once been the discarded Valor. The aliens had given it to humans as an insult. They expected failure, but humans had a long history of turning insults into strengths. The Phoenix wasn't just a repaired ship now. It was becoming something the galaxy had never seen before, a vessel that followed no standard design, that combined technologies in ways considered impossible. It was becoming the most dangerous ship in the galaxy. And soon, the galaxy would find out. Daeho smiled to himself. He couldn't wait. For 2 months, the Phoenix patrolled the empty space of Sector 87. The human crew used this quiet time wisely. Far from the eyes of the Confederation, they completed their modifications to the ship. Each day, the Phoenix became stronger, faster, and more unique. Captain Daeho Kim sat in his chair on the bridge watching the stars through the main view screen. Sector 87 was boring, just as the Confederation had planned. But Daeho didn't mind. The quiet had given them time to prepare. "Patrol route complete, Captain," Ji-hoo reported from the navigation station. "Nothing to report as usual." "What's our status?" Daeho asked. Sumin's voice came through the comm from engineering. All systems running at 120% of Confederation standards. The new power core is stable. Weapons are fully upgraded, Han Jun added from his security station. We've doubled our shield strength too. Minji looked up from communications. Still no transmissions except the regular Confederation updates. Daeho nodded. This was their routine now, circling empty space, reporting that nothing had happened and continuing their work. The Confederation clearly wanted to keep the humans far away and forgotten. Let's try the new course Jihu plotted, Daeho said. The one through the Karza Nebula, Jihu grinned. The nebula that Confederation ships avoid because of navigation hazards? With pleasure, Captain. He entered the commands, and the Phoenix turned toward a distant cloud of purple and blue gases. The Confederation considered the nebula dangerous because of strong magnetic fields that could disrupt ship systems. But the humans had modified their sensors to handle such conditions. This will cut 3 days off our patrol route, Jihu explained. If we can prove it works, we can map several shortcuts through this sector. The ship accelerated toward the nebula. As they approached, the sensors began to pick up the magnetic disturbances. Adjusting shields, Han Jun said. Our new configuration should handle this easily. The Phoenix entered the colorful gases. The ship hummed slightly louder, but all systems remained stable. It's working perfectly, Jihu said with pride. We'll be through in 20 minutes. Suddenly, Minji sat up straight at her station. Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at her. A distress signal? Here? Daeho asked in surprise. From who? Minji worked quickly at her console. It's a Confederation diplomatic vessel. The signal is coming from just beyond the nebula. Daeho stood up. Put it on speakers. A voice filled the bridge, speaking the common language of the Confederation. The voice sounded stressed. This is diplomatic vessel Star of Nembari. We are under attack by Skorax raiders. Our shields are failing. Request immediate assistance. Any Confederation ships, please respond. The crew looked at each other. The Skorax were a violent species from outside the Confederation, known for their ruthless attacks on ships. How far? Daeho asked Jihu. 20 minutes at maximum speed, the navigator replied. The nearest Confederation patrol is 3 hours away, Minji added after checking her instruments. Daeho didn't hesitate. Set course for the distress signal. Maximum speed battle stations. The Phoenix surged forward, pushing through the nebula faster than any Confederation ship would dare. The crew moved quickly to prepare for battle. This would be their first real test. Minji, send a message to the diplomatic vessel. Tell them help is coming. Minji nodded and sent the message. A moment later, a response came back. A human ship? In this sector? Please hurry. There are 3 Skorax warships. They've already damaged our engines. Han Jun looked up from his security station. Captain, I've identified the diplomatic vessel. It's carrying Ambassador Talon. Daeho raised an eyebrow. The same Ambassador Talon who gave us this ship? Who laughed at us? The same, Han Jun. Confirmed. For a moment the bridge was quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. They could simply not respond. Let the ambassador who had insulted them face the consequences. But Daeho shook his head slightly as if answering his own thoughts. Doesn't matter who it is. We have a job to do. Sumin, I need everything you can give me from the engines. You'll have it, Captain. Her voice responded from engineering. I'm activating the power bypass now. The ship hummed louder as hidden systems came to life. Systems that no Confederation inspector had been allowed to see. We're exiting the nebula, Jihu announced. Diplomatic vessel and Skorax ships dead ahead. The view screen showed the scene. A sleek silver Nembari ship was surrounded by 3 dark, sharp-looking Skorax vessels. The diplomatic ship's shields were flickering, nearly gone. They haven't noticed us yet, Han Jun said. The nebula is hiding our approach. Daeho leaned forward in his chair. Jihu, prepare to execute maneuver Phoenix 1. Han Jun, target the lead Skorax ship. Charge main weapons. The crew moved with practiced precision. They had trained for this moment. Minji, open a channel to all ships, Daeho ordered. Channel open, Captain. Daeho's voice was calm but firm. Skorax vessels, this is Captain Daeho Kim of the Confederation vessel Phoenix. Stand down and withdraw immediately. There was a pause, then a harsh, clicking voice responded. A single ship against 3 of ours? Your bravery is amusing, human. We will destroy you after we finish with this prize. The Skorax ships continued their attack on the diplomatic vessel. They're not taking us seriously, Hanjun said. Daeho smiled slightly. Good. Jihu now. Jihu's fingers flew over his controls. The Phoenix made a jump that no Confederation ship could make, appearing suddenly between the Skorax ships and their prey. Before the Skorax could react, Hanjun fired the weapons. The Phoenix released a blast of energy far more powerful than a ship its size should be capable of. The lead Skorax ship's shields collapsed immediately, and its hull cracked. Impossible, the Skorax commander transmitted. That level of firepower from that class of vessel is not possible. For a Confederation ship, no, Daeho replied. But we're human. We build differently. The 2 remaining Skorax ships turned their attention to the Phoenix, firing their weapons. The human ship moved with unexpected speed, dodging some blasts while its shields easily absorbed others. Shields holding at 85%, Hanjun reported. Their shots are powerful. Sumin's voice came from engineering. But they're slow. They never expected to fight something as nimble as us. The Phoenix spun and fired again. The second Skorax ship took heavy damage. They're breaking formation, Jihu called out. The damaged ships are retreating. The third Skorax ship tried to escape, but Jihu predicted its course. The Phoenix cut it off, and Hanjun fired a precise shot that disabled its engines. In less than 10 minutes, the battle was over. 2 Skorax ships were fleeing, and 1 was dead in space. Minji, contact Confederation security forces to pick up the disabled raider, Daeho ordered. Then open a channel to the diplomatic vessel. The view screen changed to show Ambassador Talon's silver face. He looked shocked. Captain Kim, how did you do that? Those were 3 Skorax warships. Your vessel is a light cruiser. It should not have been able to defeat them. The Phoenix is full of surprises, Ambassador, Daeho replied calmly. We'll escort you back to safe space. As they guided the damaged diplomatic vessel away from the area, Talon contacted them again. Captain, I must know. The maneuvers your ship performed and the weapon power you displayed, they are not in any Confederation design manual. As I said before, Ambassador, each species keeps their own technological secrets, Daeho reminded him. Humans have our own way of doing things. After they delivered the diplomatic vessel to a safe station, the Phoenix returned to its patrol route. But now, word of what had happened began to spread throughout the Confederation. We're receiving a message from Central Command, Minji reported a few days later. We're being recalled to Confederation headquarters for inspection and assessment. Daeho nodded. He had expected this. Set course for headquarters, Jihu. It's time to show the Confederation exactly what humans can do. The crew smiled. They were ready. The ship that had once been scrap was now the most talked-about vessel in the galaxy. And soon, everyone would know what humans could create from what others had thrown away. The Phoenix docked at Confederation headquarters with all eyes watching. News of the small human ship defeating 3 Skorax warships had spread quickly. Aliens from all species lined the viewing areas to see the vessel that had done the impossible. They're staring at us, Hanjun said as he looked at the crowds through the viewports. Let them stare, Captain Daeho Kim replied calmly. We have nothing to hide. That wasn't exactly true. The Phoenix had many secrets hidden in its systems. But Daeho knew the rules of the Confederation well. Each species had the right to keep their own technology private. As the crew prepared to leave the ship, Minji reported from her communications station. Captain, there's a full inspection committee waiting for us. Representatives from all major species. Daeho nodded. He had expected this. The Confederation wouldn't ignore what had happened. A ship that was supposed to be scrap had outperformed their best vessels. Sumin, he called through the ship's comm. Is everything ready? Yes, Captain, the engineer replied. All systems are locked with our security protocols. They can look, but they won't understand what they're seeing. Good. Deho turned to his crew. Remember, be respectful but firm. We've done nothing wrong. We've simply shown what humans can do. The crew walked proudly from their ship. Waiting for them was the largest group of high-ranking officials ever, gathered to inspect a single vessel. General Kraz of the Vardek stood at the front, his armored skin gleaming under the bright lights. Beside him was High Engineer Zeal of the Elari, all four of her arms holding different scanning devices. Ambassador Talon of the Nembari stood slightly apart, his silver face unreadable. Captain Kim, General Kraz spoke first. Your ship will be inspected thoroughly. Your crew will answer all questions about its performance. Deho bowed slightly. Of course, General. We will cooperate fully within the bounds of Confederation law regarding species-specific technology. The General's eyes narrowed, but he couldn't argue. The humans were using the Confederation's own rules. For the next 6 hours, alien engineers crawled through every part of the Phoenix. They scanned systems, took readings, and asked endless questions. The human crew answered politely, but revealed little about how their modifications actually worked. In the main conference room, Deho sat across from the three leaders as they reviewed the preliminary findings. These modifications violate 17 separate safety protocols, High Engineer Zeal stated, her large eyes blinking rapidly as she read from her datapad. The power routings alone should have caused a cascade failure. Yet they didn't, General Kraz observed. He looked at Deho with new respect. The ship not only functions, it outperforms our military vessels of similar size. Ambassador Talon had been quiet until now. I witnessed what this vessel accomplished firsthand. 3 Skorax warships against 1 outdated cruiser should have been no contest. Yet here we stand. Deho remained calm. As I've explained, humans approach problems differently. We see possibilities where others see limitations. Explain, demanded High Engineer Zeal. How did you make these incompatible systems work together? Deho chose his words carefully. Humans evolved on a challenging planet with limited resources. We had to learn to use whatever was available to solve problems. Where you see separate systems that shouldn't connect, we see potential new configurations. But the risk, Zeal began, is something humans understand well. Deho finished for her. We weigh risk against reward. Sometimes the most valuable solutions are not the safest ones. The 3 aliens looked at each other, communicating silently, in the way of species that had worked together for thousands of years. What you've created is dangerous, warned the Elari engineer finally. Yes, agreed Deho simply. That was the point. After the inspection committee left the Phoenix, the human crew gathered on the bridge to wait for the decision. Would the Confederation accept what they had done, or would they demand changes to the ship? What do you think will happen? Jihu asked as he nervously adjusted settings at his navigation console. They can't argue with our results, Sumin said confidently. We saved one of their most important diplomats. Han Jun looked less certain. But we've shown we can build ships more powerful than theirs. That might scare them. Fear and respect often look the same, Deho said. Either way, they won't ignore us anymore. Minji called from her station. Captain, incoming transmission from the committee. On screen, Deho ordered. The view screen showed the 3 leaders of the Confederation. General Kraz spoke first. After much discussion, we have reached a decision regarding the Phoenix and its human crew. Everyone on the bridge held their breath. This was the moment that would decide their future in space. The ship will be officially commissioned as a Confederation vessel with Captain Kim and his human crew in command. Smiles broke out among the crew, but Deho noticed there was more to come. Ambassador Talon stepped forward. Additionally, we are establishing a program to integrate human engineers and tacticians throughout the Confederation fleet. Your unique approach has proven valuable. This was more than they had hoped for. Not just acceptance of their ship, but recognition of what humans could offer to the entire Confederation. High Engineer Zeal spoke last, her voice slightly strained as if the words didn't come easily. Your demonstration of adaptation and innovation has been impressive. The Alari request that human engineers consult on several projects currently facing technical challenges. When the transmission ended, the bridge erupted in cheers. Su Min hugged Taeyang. Hanjun slapped Ji-Hoo on the back. Minji wiped away a tear. Daeho smiled at his crew. You've done something remarkable. When they gave us scrap, they expected us to fail. Instead, we showed them what humans can truly do. Word spread quickly through Confederation space. The story of the human ship made from scrap defeating 3 Skorax warships was told and retold. The Phoenix became famous. Other species began to see humans differently, not as primitive newcomers, but as innovators who could transform how the galaxy understood technology. Human engineers were sought after for difficult projects. Human tactical advisors were welcomed on Confederation military vessels. What had begun as an insult, a broken ship meant for the scrap heap, had become the symbol of humanity's unique contribution to the galaxy. 2 weeks after the inspection, the Phoenix received new orders. The ship would lead a task force to patrol the borders of Confederation space. 5 vessels would serve under Captain Kim's command. As the orders came through, Ambassador Talon requested a private meeting with Daeho. I must admit, Captain, that I misjudged your species, the Nembari diplomat said when they met in his office. When we gave you that ship, we expected you to complain or give up. That's not how humans respond to challenges, Daeho replied, so I have learned. Talon's silver face showed what might have been a smile. The Skorax have been attacking our outer systems for years. No Confederation vessel has been able to match their ships. Yet your scrap defeated 3 of them. The Phoenix is special, Daeho said. But what made it special wasn't the parts. It was the human approach to using those parts. Talon nodded slowly. For too long, the Confederation has advanced along set paths, making small improvements to established designs. Your people think differently. We had to, Daeho explained. Our planet forced us to adapt constantly. We learned to see possibilities, where others see only problems. As he left the ambassador's office, Daeho felt a sense of pride, not just in his ship or his crew, but in what they represented. Humanity's first real contribution to the galaxy. The Phoenix would lead the way, showing what was possible when human creativity met alien technology, and this was just the beginning. 1 year had passed since Captain Daeho Kim and his crew had first been given the discarded Valor, a ship meant for the scrap heap. Now the renamed Phoenix led a task force of 5 ships. Each vessel in the group now had human crew members working alongside aliens. Daeho stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, looking at the tactical display. The ship had changed even more over the past year. It was no longer just a patchwork of alien technologies. It had become something new, a perfect blend of human innovation and the best elements of Confederation engineering. Task force is in formation, Captain, Ji-Hoo reported from navigation. His console now featured both Confederation standard displays and human-designed interfaces. All ships report ready, Minji added from communications. She wore the new uniform of the Confederation fleet, but with human markings that showed her Earth origin. Daeho nodded. Open a channel to all ships. When the channel was open, he addressed the commanders of each vessel in his task force. This mission is critical. The Skorax raiders have been attacking outer systems for months. Intelligence reports they have adapted their tactics based on their previous encounters with us. On the screens, the alien commanders nodded in understanding. Among them was Commander Varex, a young Vardek officer who had specifically requested to serve under human leadership. They think they understand us now, Daeho continued. But understanding humans isn't that simple. We adapt constantly. Use the new tactics we practiced. Stay in communication but be ready to improvise if needed. After the commanders acknowledged his orders, Daeho turned to Hanjun at the security station. Status of our special modifications? Hanjun smiled. All ready, Captain. The Skorax are in for some big surprises. Good. Daeho sat in his captain's chair. Ji-Hoo, set course for the outer rim. Maximum speed. The Phoenix led the formation into faster-than-light travel. The ship hummed with power, smooth, steady power that hadn't existed when the vessel was first given to them. In engineering, Suman supervised her team of both human and alien engineers. The engine room was no longer a chaotic mix of mismatched parts. Now it was a marvel of integration, with systems working together in ways the original designers never imagined. Power output steady at 150% of standard, Suman reported to the bridge. The new hybrid drive is performing perfectly. 3 days later, the task force reached the outer rim. Almost immediately, their sensors detected Skorak's activity. 5. Skorak's vessels detected near Outpost 87, Minji reported. They're attacking a research station. Daeho studied the tactical display. They've increased their numbers since our last encounter. They've learned. So have we, Hanjun said confidently. Daeho nodded. Signal the task force. Battle formation Phoenix 3. Engage at my command. The 5 Confederation ships spread out in a pattern that no traditional Confederation admiral would use. It looked disorganized, almost random, but Daeho knew it would work. The Skoraks are moving to intercept, Minji reported. They're targeting our smallest vessel first. Just as we predicted, Daeho said. Now. At his command, the seemingly scattered formation suddenly made sense. The smallest ship dropped back while the others surged forward in a pincer movement. The Skoraks found themselves caught between well-coordinated fire. They're trying to adapt, Hanjun called out as he monitored the enemy movements. Changing to defense pattern Sigma. Signal Commander Varex, Daeho ordered. Execute maneuver Sunrise. The Vardek ship commanded by Varex suddenly changed course, climbing above the battle plane in a move that Confederation ships rarely used. Three-dimensional thinking was a human specialty, born from naval warfare on Earth's oceans. They don't know how to respond, Jihu said, watching the Skorak ships hesitate. They've never seen this tactic. The battle was swift and decisive. 2 Skorak ships were disabled, 1 was destroyed, and the remaining 2 fled. The task force had suffered only minor damage. All ships report successful engagement, Minji announced. Research station is secure. Daeho nodded with satisfaction. Signal Confederation Command, mission accomplished. 1 month later, the Phoenix returned to Confederation headquarters. The successful defense of the Outer Rim had made headlines throughout Confederation space. What had begun as a story about one unusual ship had become a story about humanity's impact on the entire Confederation. In the main assembly hall, Daeho and his crew stood before representatives of all Confederation species. At the center was Admiral Talon, formerly Ambassador Talon, now promoted to lead the Confederation fleet. Captain Kim, Admiral Talon began, his silver face solemn. Your task force's performance exceeded all expectations. The tactics you employed have been studied by our best strategists. The technologies you've helped integrate are being implemented across the fleet. Daeho stood proudly with his crew. They had come a long way from the day they first boarded a broken ship, Admiral, Talon continued. Today marks a new chapter for the Confederation. For too long we have been stagnant, advancing incrementally along established paths. The humans have shown us there are infinite possibilities we never considered. The Admiral turned to address the entire assembly. The Phoenix program is now officially established. Every Confederation vessel will have human crew members. Every Confederation project will include human perspectives. We have much to learn from our newest members. After the ceremony, Daeho and his original crew gathered in a quiet corner of the station. They looked out at the busy docking bays where dozens of ships now bore the new insignia, a phoenix rising, the symbol of humanity's contribution to the galaxy. I received new orders today, Daeho told them. The Phoenix is being assigned to lead a new exploratory division. We'll be going beyond known space. Further than any Confederation ship has gone before? Jihu asked, excitement in his voice. Yes, Daeho confirmed. They believe our unique approach might help us survive where traditional ships would fail. Suman smiled. From scrap heap to flagship, not bad for 1 year's work. It wasn't just the ship, Yunji said quietly. It was what we represented, humanity's way of looking at problems. Hanjun nodded. They gave us their trash because they thought that's all we deserved. We showed them that humans can take the broken and make it exceptional. Minji looked thoughtful. I've been talking with aliens from many species. They're fascinated by Earth history, how humans constantly fought each other, adapted, and overcame challenges. They think it made us different from them. It did, Deho agreed. Their species evolved with specialization. Ours evolved with adaptability. In a stable environment, specialization wins. But in a changing one, adaptability is better. Sumin finished. And space is always changing, Jihu added. Deho looked at his crew, the people who had taken a piece of junk and turned it into the most famous ship in the galaxy. We report for our new assignment next week. I've been authorized to expand our crew. More humans will be joining us, along with aliens who have embraced our way of thinking. To go where no one has gone before? Hanjun asked with a smile. Exactly, Deho replied. Because if there's one thing humans are good at, it's facing the unknown. Back on Earth, news of the Phoenix and its achievements had inspired a renaissance of innovation. Humans weren't just adapting alien technology, they were reimagining it from first principles. Earth had quickly become a center for new ideas in the Confederation. Young humans eagerly applied to the Space Academy, hoping to follow in the footsteps of the Phoenix crew. The story of a scrapped ship becoming the most dangerous vessel in the galaxy was told to children as a lesson in human potential. On the bridge of the Phoenix, Captain Dae-ho Kim prepared for their new mission. The ship hummed with power and possibility. Captain, called Engineer Su-min over the comm. The new hybrid drive is ready for testing. It's unlike anything in the galaxy. Dae-ho smiled. Of course it is. We're human. Taking the broken and making it exceptional is what we do best. As the Phoenix accelerated into the unknown regions of space, species throughout the Confederation watched with a mixture of respect, admiration, and just a touch of fear. The humans had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. The end. Captain Dae-ho Kim stood tall as he walked down the long hallway of the Galactic Confederation's main station. The lights above were too bright for human eyes. The air smelled clean but strange. Everything here was a reminder that humans were new to space travel. 5 other humans walked behind him. They were the best Earth had to offer. Su-min, the engineer who could fix anything. Ji-hu, the navigator who could find paths others missed. Han-jun, the security chief who knew 16 ways to fight. Minji, who understood all types of communication, and Yunji, the doctor who had saved lives when no one thought it was possible. They were here to join the Confederation fleet. Humans had only figured out faster-than-light travel 10 years ago. The other species in the galaxy had been using it for thousands of years. Now in 2157, humans were finally allowed to join. Remember, Dae-ho said quietly to his team, no matter what they give us, we show them what humans can do. The team nodded. They had been warned that the aliens might not respect them. Humans were seen as young, wild, and not very advanced. At the end of the hall stood 3 aliens. Each one was from one of the main species that ran the Confederation. On the left was General Kraz, a Vardek. The Vardek were tall, strong warriors with tough skin that looked like armor. They handled all military matters in the Confederation. In the middle stood High Engineer Zeal of the Ailari. The Ailari were thin with 4 arms and large eyes. They created the best technology in the galaxy. On the right was Ambassador Talon of the Nembari. The Nembari looked almost human, except for their silver skin and eyes with no pupils. They were masters of politics and ran most of the Confederation's government. Captain Dae-ho Kim, said Ambassador Talon with a small smile. Welcome to the Confederation fleet. We are pleased to have humans join our ranks. Dae-ho bowed slightly. Thank you, Ambassador. My crew and I are honored to serve. General Kraz made a sound like a grunt. Let's see if you can serve before we talk about honor. Humans have no experience in real space combat. We learn quickly, Dae-ho said. High Engineer Zeal tilted her head. Yes, We have observed this quality in your species. It is interesting. Ambassador. Talon stepped forward. We have assigned you a ship, Captain Kim. It awaits at Docking Bay 12. Daeho felt a spark of excitement. This was it, humanity's first real starship in the Confederation fleet. Thank you, we're eager to see it. The three aliens looked at each other. Daeho noticed a strange look pass between them. Yes, said Talon. I'm sure you are. Docking Bay 12 was at the far end of the station. As they walked, Daeho noticed other alien crews watching them. Some looked curious. Others seemed to be laughing. I don't like this, Hanjun said quietly. They're treating us like a joke. Let them, Daeho replied. We'll show them differently through our actions. When they finally reached Docking Bay 12, they stopped and stared. There, connected to the station, was their ship. But it wasn't the proud vessel they had expected. It was old, very old. Parts of its hull were different colors, as if they had been replaced many times. Some sections looked dented or burned. It was about half the size of the other ships they had seen. That cannot be our ship, Minji whispered. A Vardek officer approached them with a data pad. Captain Kim, this is the discarded Valor, a light cruiser, formerly of the Vardek fleet. It has been reassigned to human use. Daeho kept his face calm, though he felt a flash of anger. I see. And its condition? The Vardek seemed uncomfortable. It was scheduled for recycling, but the High Command decided it would be suitable for a human crew. In other words, Daeho thought, they gave us their garbage. I understand, he said, taking the data pad and signing for the ship. When can we board? Immediately, the Vardek said, looking relieved that Daeho wasn't complaining. Your access codes are in the system. As the Vardek walked away, Daeho turned to his crew. Their faces showed different emotions: anger, disappointment, shock. They're testing us, Daeho said firmly. This is a test to see if humans give up. Easily. Sumin stepped forward to look more closely at the ship. Captain, from here I can see at least 12 major system issues. The power couplings are mismatched. The hull plating is from 3 different eras. Can it fly? Daeho asked. Sumin thought for a moment. Yes, not well, but yes. Can it be fixed? She smiled slightly. Anything can be fixed with enough time and creativity. Then let's go see what we're working with, Daeho said. The inside of the ship was worse than the outside. They entered through the main airlock, which hissed and struggled to open. The lights flickered on and off. The air smelled stale. Life support is barely functioning, Yunji said, checking her scanner. It's safe for now, but needs work. They made their way to the bridge. Panels were missing. Wires hung from the ceiling. Half the control stations were dark. This is what they think of us, Jihu said, running his hands over a navigation console with a cracked screen. This is an insult. Daeho walked to the captain's chair. It was worn and patched with different materials. He sat down, testing it. Despite everything, it felt right. Let's check the engine room, he said. The engine room was a mess of different technologies. There were parts that clearly didn't go together. Some systems had warning signs in different alien languages. Sumin walked around slowly, examining everything. This is strange, she said finally. What's strange about a junk heap? Hanjun asked. No, look closely, Sumin said, pointing. These are parts from different species. This is an Alari power converter next to a Vardek energy cell. They don't normally work together. It's like they intentionally gave us the worst possible combination. Minji had been checking the ship's computer. The ship's logs have been wiped, but I found something interesting. This ship didn't just fail or get old. It was damaged in some kind of test. Then instead of fixing it properly, they just kept adding different parts. Daeho looked around the engine room. So it's not just old, it's a failed experiment. Yes, Sumin said. But... She paused, thinking. But what? Daeho asked. But humans are good at making things work that shouldn't, she said with a small smile. Different parts together? That's the story of human history. Daeho felt something shift in his mind. What had seemed like an insult now looked like an opportunity. "Gather in the bridge in 10 minutes, he ordered. "I want everyone's initial assessment." On the bridge, the crew gave their reports. The ship was a mess, but it could fly. It would take weeks of work to make it truly functional, months to make it good. "We could request a different ship," Minji suggested. "This is clearly not acceptable." "And that's exactly what they expect us to do," Daeho replied. "They want us to complain, to give up, to go home." He stood up and looked at each of them. "They gave us this ship because they think that's all we deserve. They don't understand what humans can do with scraps. Throughout our history, humans have taken whatever was available and made it work." He walked to the main view screen, which flickered, but showed the busy Confederation station. Other ships moved smoothly, their hulls clean and bright. "First, we fix this ship. Not just fix it, we make it better. Different, unexpected. Then we show them what humans can really do." Hanjun nodded slowly. "We have nothing to lose. They already think we're worthless." "Exactly," Daeho said. "So let's surprise them." Sumin was already making notes on her pad. "I have some ideas for the engine room. If we reroute the Elari power systems through the Vardek weapon conduits..." "Isn't that dangerous?" Jihu asked. "Very," Sumin grinned. "But it might give us twice the firepower with half the energy signature." For the first time since seeing their ship, the crew began to look excited. "What should we call it?" Minji asked. "Discarded valor doesn't seem right anymore." Daeho thought for a moment. In human history, when something rose from ruin to become new again, there was only one name that fit. "The Phoenix," he said. "We call it the Phoenix." As they began planning their work, a message came through the ship's comm system. It was Ambassador Tylin. "Captain Kim," he said with false concern, "I hope you find your assignment adequate. If it proves too challenging for your crew, we would understand if you wish to return to Earth." Daeho looked at his crew, then back at the screen. "Thank you for your concern, Ambassador, but we're quite satisfied with the Phoenix. In fact, we're eager to show the Confederation what humans can do with it." The confusion on Talin's face was worth everything. "The Phoenix?" the ambassador asked. "Yes," Daeho replied with a smile. "That's what we've renamed her. Because from these ashes, something wonderful will rise." He cut the communication. Outside the viewports, they could see aliens from the station looking at their ship, some pointing, some laughing. They wouldn't be laughing for long.